Hey guys, Dan here from Programmer Basics, and today we're going to go through a tutorial of saying hello to two strings, and it's going to be your first name and your last name. I probably should have done this along with the hello world, and I did kind of touch on it, but this is the next one in my list, and this is in the order that I learned how to code in Visual Basic, so I'm just going to relay them in the same order. So this one's just going to be hello f name L name, first name, last name, and we're going to create this form. It's very simple. The program's very simple. I can teach you a couple of things whilst doing it, I reckon. So I thought I might just cover it anyway, even though I did slightly cover it in one of my previous videos. But we're going to do it anyway. So once your form loads up like this, hopefully the toolbox will be pinned. I don't know why mine's not. There we are. You can rename the form as per usual. FRM hello, like so. And then you want to rename everything else as well. And then we're going to put text, or I'm going to put the text to click the button. And then obviously they need a button to click, so I'm going to drag this one on here. And actually, let's make that a huge button. And I'm going to remove all the text from it and just have one huge button with nothing in it. And this is going to be BTN click because it's just going to be the only thing on the form. We don't even need to name it that, but just to make sure the program is clean, that is what we're going to name it. So now we're just going to open up the code and we're going to look at this side of things. So all we need is we want the user to be able to enter in two things, so their name, first name, and their last name. And then it's just going to give them a message saying hello, first name and last name. So it could be hello Bob Jones. That could be the message, so that's what we'll go on. So first of all, we need to make space in the memory for their first name as a string, because a string is a series of letters or numbers. And then we're going to make space in the memory for their last name, again as a string. And then we need to get the values for these. So the values of the value of strf name is going to be a user input. So we want to ask them to for an input box, and we want them to enter their first name. So this is what we're going to say: enter your first name. I always do capitals wrong. Okay, enter your first name, and you can see I forgot to put the second speech marks, so it was going to go wrong. So that's the first thing that will happen. Then it will come up and ask them for their second name, or last name even. So we will go input box again, just like before, if I typed it properly. Input box, open brackets, open speech marks, enter your last name. There we go. And then we want to do a message box. So this is another style of message box that you can use, .show, but this one doesn't. It works the same way, and MSG box is just a much more simple way to put it. But you can do these ones if you want to. So we're going to use this one just for this scenario. The reason it's good to use these ones is because they are the ones that are used in C#, and so it's better if you want to use these ones now. Then that means when you go on to C#, it won't be much different. Whereas if you use MSG box now, when you move on to C#, you'll have to remember that that does not exist. Also, you have all I've done here is I've put in hello, so that's the first bit that we haven't saved as a string, and now we need to concatenate hello with the string for the first name. So now it will say hello first name, wherever the first name was entered, and you'll notice that I left a little space here, and that's because otherwise it would not enter a space between these two. It would just be hello, and then let's say I got rid of the comma as well, so it would just say hello and then Bob right at the end. It would say hello Bob, all as one word. So we need to leave that space for it, and I just put the comma there, so it'd be like hello Bob Jones, but we can just have it as hello Bob Jones. Okay, so we've got that. Now we want to concatenate another thing, and that could be strl name. But as I just said, sadly, if I was to do this now, I could run this program, it would work perfectly fine, but it would say hello Bob Jones, and Bob Jones would be all one word. So we actually need to concatenate yet another thing into there, which is just going to be a space, and then we'll concatenate that in as well. So now it'll say hello with a space, Bob with a space, Jones. So now we can run this program. I've got to wait for it to compile first. Here we are. So we click the button, and it asks you first name, Bob, last name, oops, Jones, enter, hello Bob Jones. Simples. We could go one step further, and we can concatenate another thing onto the end of this, which could just be a full stop, like that. The computer's struggling to catch up, but all we need is a full stop like that. So yeah, that's pretty simple. That's the basic idea of what we want here, and that's the only way that I can think that we should do it for now. And there are some things that I can now show you if you would like, which, well, I'm going to show you. You don't have to watch from this point onwards, but you can if you want to. It will give you some handy tips. So for here, dim strl name, we can actually remove that, and now it'll throw up a couple of errors. And all we need to do is go comma strl name, like so, and that means that it will dim. So that means declaration in memory. So it will make a space in the memory for str first name and str last name as string. This wouldn't work, however, if we wanted now to dim a decimal. So we wanted dim dec something as decimal. We couldn't put that up here because it would make it like that. It would throw up too many errors. We can only have strings on one declaration, or we can have all decimals in one declaration. So DEC in sum and DEC else, something like that. So we can have lots of decimals in one string of in one line. We can have lots of strings in one line, but we can't mix the two. So that's just something simple. So that cleans up the code a little bit. So now we've taken out one line. Another thing that we could do is we could completely nullify the use of these completely, and we could do an input box, and then we could do fname, but that would say enter your first name, and then here we could have another input box, and this could say enter your last name, like that. And we could do that, and the program runs fine. We don't actually need to use fname and lname. Oh damn. We don't actually need to use sname and fname and lname, because we can just have input boxes, so we don't need to save their names for any other reason than we just wanted to. So we can put in Bob Jones, and it will still work just like it did before. I did that on the wrong monitor. We can still do Bob Jones, and it will still work like it did before. Again. So I just think using strings is a bit better, because then we could do a lot more things with the strings afterwards. So str fname like that. So we could actually use these strings for a lot more. So we could do more message boxes, and we could say strfname and space strlname and smells like raw chicken, like that, close brackets. So we could have that now. So now we can use that string in the same place without having to ask the user to enter it again. I've done it in the wrong way again. So we could go Bob and Jones, then it brings up the hello Bob Jones, and then it will bring up Bob Jones smells like raw chicken. So we can do that, and it works really well, and that's just something you can do if you do strings instead of a single input box. So we'll leave that there, and we'll just reflect upon that if we need to. And decimal is obviously not needed because we don't use it, and that's why it's flagged it in green. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe so that you can see more videos and hopefully more tutorials that you will actually be able to use. I hope this teaches you a couple of things, like how to create many strings in one line instead of having a single line for each string. And also hopefully this has taught you a good way to use strings more than once if you wish. You can use them inside your message boxes, multiple message boxes, and you can also add them to lists and all sorts. And hopefully you can take note of the message box show for when we move on to C# in the future. And also we did use input boxes. We've used those before, so hopefully you have already watched those videos and you already know how to use those. So anyway guys, thanks for watching, and be sure to check out the next video.